What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Lil Solar Prime. I'm here at Locals, but I'm here with Korey McDuffie, the 2014 next winner. So I'm here to talk about, well, he's here to discuss my Infernoid deck, or Infernoids in general, what he thinks about it, and just to give you guys a little bit of a rundown of what's going through his head about each card and things like that. So I'm gonna let Korey take over from here. So go ahead and get into it, Korey.
How you guys doing? So Infernoids came out in the newest set, Secrets of Eternity, this last week. They'll be getting some more support later on, but at first glance, they seem to be really powerful against Burning Abyss and any other effect that relies on the graveyard, since they all do have the tribute at any point in time to banish a card from graveyard. But I actually just think that they can spam quick enough to where they're actually maybe just viable. Yu-Gi-Oh's come to the point now to where we're not really playing that many trap cards. People aren't really trying to react. A lot of that came with the 5-card rule happening. We get like a one less card on the play, so traps just like became a little bit worse. Denko Sekka didn't help those things either. And also just the fact that all the cards that they've been printing recently, people call them floaters, like Dante getting back things, Sword Graph getting back things, Cliff Forts, when you kill them, they come back, Shadows, when you kill them, their fusion spells come back. So really, Yu-Gi-Oh's come to this degenerate point of where we're just trying to OTK people in Infernoids, since they can all special summon. I actually think that there is an engine out there viable enough to make them playable. A lot of them, they all rely on the graveyard, so a lot of strategies that the Yu-Gi-Oh decks are playing nowadays rely on the graveyards. So mirror matches for these things are actually just going to be a nightmare, since you have control over the opponent's graveyards. But they all do something once you get them in play, since they're kind of since they do all have a cost. Pretty much just the fact that you can just build some kind of deck that mills yourself, which is already a strategy that we're all used to. These cards can be really quickly enabled, and there's no restrictions on the fact, like special summon, kind of like how Cliff Forts, you can never really go into the extra deck of Cliff Forts without working really hard. But you actually get to play just some of Yu-Gi-Oh's best monsters when you're playing a large variety of all the different levels. And these cards, now, it's obviously not great to draw them on your opening hand, as there has to be some price to pay for any deck that's explosive enough to be able to OTK your opponent. But I'm just going to kind of talk about the Infernoid cards and why they're so good. I really like Harmadik. Harmadik went up last week. I've personally been messing with this deck a little bit myself, and I just went ahead and told everybody for Charleston this weekend I'm planning on playing Infernoids, and part of the reason why is Burning Abyss has dominated since, I guess, September, October, since Duelist Alliance has come out, and I don't plan for them to be any less absent than they have been in the last couple tournaments. Harmadik, he has one of the things that really has influenced a lot of my deck decisions, and it's his effect. Once per turn, you can target a card that your opponent controls. Actually, it may only be monster, only a monster on the field, and destroy it. Now, one of these cards banish or bounce. I forgot which one.
Maybe level 2.
This one bounces?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. This is actually the one. Now, obviously, destroying was once really powerful, but nowadays I actually want to be returning more stuff to my opponent's hand just to not trigger their Dantes. But all these monsters, you need to have something in the graveyard. This top row up here, we need to have an Infernoid to banish in order to special summon them. All these, we actually need 2. So there has to be some kind of engine in order to fuel these things. And what I've seen a lot of people doing is basically playing a combination of these cards. Card Trooper, Lila, and Raiden are all effects that can mill, just to kind of help getting this deck going. It's probably worse to draw a lot of these in the opening hand, because you can brick, as they say, but you really, really want to see these cards in play or in your opening hand on the first turn, just so we can get this deck going. One thing Konami did recently was they brought back a card that we haven't seen played for almost a decade, and Reasoning. So Reasoning, for all that you don't know, or for those that don't know, your opponent calls a level when you play it, and then you reveal cards from the top of your deck until you can reveal a card that could be special summoned. None of these cards can actually be special summoned in any way other than by banishing another thing. So Reasoning's just going to skip all over those, but it's okay because that's good for us. We're going to skip over all these, play a very few amount of monsters, so these Reasonings are actually going to be way better than any Needlebug Nest has ever been. And it's also a spell, so we can get going on the first turn. Probably the most important card in the deck If there was a super rare version of it, which I guess was the Shatterfoils, Mosaics, whatever, those would probably be expensive this weekend in Charleston, because this is going to be the main reason, or main way we're going to get the deck going. We don't even care if they call correctly for the reasoning either, because we're just trying to mill a bunch of cards. And I've even seen some builds play less monsters than this. They just play like 2 Raid and 2 Card Trooper, and this card's probably a staple blaster. It's just like, it's kind of the catch-all. They'll never really call 7 on reasoning, so you just can kind of get a free monster to play. You can also overlay with the 7 down here. I think it's this one, actually. Yeah, that guy's 8. This guy, he's a 7, so you can, you know, get into the rank 7s with this. But reasoning's definitely the most important card in the deck, and the core and how you're going to build any kind of strategy that's going to play like this. I've messed around with a lot of different builds in this deck. You can play, they're all fiends, like you can actually play with like Burning Abyss, and maybe it's not too terrible. Dante can mill, which is, you know, a mill effect to get the engine going. But I personally like builds more like this. Reasoning, Monster Gate's kind of a 4th reasoning. They don't ever call the level, and the thing will always come into play. But any combination of cards in our opening hand that can really mill this many cards is really strong to get this engine going. Because if you see these guys, 2,600 attack, 2,800 attack, 3,000 attack, that can kill your opponent in 1 turn. And decks like Cliff Ward paying all their life away on the first turn definitely makes it just easier for you. But yeah, in all honesty, the monster lineup was very, very straightforward for these builds. I've never really seen a deck play any different variants of monsters from here or even up here, minus the exception of, I've seen some people play a 3rd on Oku. I don't think it's correct. I've seen some people play 3 Raid and no Lila. I kind of like that more, but there's still a lot of practice and testing to do. Playing a deck like this, you don't really have room for that many traps. Needlebug Nest is actually just going to be like the other engine enabler card in a deck like this. If this deck can't go off on the first turn, it's okay. If you can just get like 1 Infernoid into play to like stop them from making a really powerful Burning Abyss play, it's probably not that bad. But just generally, this deck should have a powerful matchup against Burning Abyss. We got this guy that bounces stuff. These things can attack more than once. One of them can banish a card from your opponent's side of the field after it attacks. Yeah, so like all those cards kind of turn off the Burning Abyss effects. Also, one of the big nemesis of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vanity's Emptiness isn't really good against this deck because all these cards are inherent summons. Maxi, Vanity's Emptiness, you can't chain them to these cards because they're just summons similar to Blackluster Soldier or Dark Arm Dragon. So that's also one huge advantage I like out of the deck. And since it's already all face up already, I'll show you the rest of the build. Void Seer, you pretty much just want your graveyard. It's kind of like, what's that one card from Evil Swarm? Infestation Pandemic. It says target Infernoid you control, target's unaffected by card effects your opponent controls. And while it's in the graveyard, if an Infernoid monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish it to save them. So if they Raigeki your field, you can banish, save all your monsters. If they pop one of your things with Fire Lake or multiple cards of Fire Lake, save all of them. This card's actually really nice. You want it probably more in your graveyard, and you can also activate it the turn it's sent to the grave too, which is a huge difference from cards like Breakthrough Skill in the past. So you can actually just like play it and then use it too. Charge, it's probably the reason you want to include Lumina or Lila. I've seen some builds play like a Lumina to get back some of these things. I don't think you need to play Lumina, but Charge is basically you want to be able to play. The reason why you want to play more of these Lightsworns is so you can play Charge. It's just a nice mill effect to have. So we got Burial. It's a pretty nice engine. Once you've it's definitely more of a card that'll brick in more of your opening hands because you you need to have your engine going. But it's definitely a win more card that's probably worth it. If you ever have put multiple guys into play, you can just put them back into your grave. You'll have more fuel for your stuff. I think there's actually from either players that are moved from play. There might be like another instance I can't remember right now that you can use this too with this deck. Oh yeah, Blaster. I've seen some you can do some cool stuff like banish stuff for Blaster and then just put them right back with the Burial too. Hidden Armory, it mills. That's it's supposed to be a drawback, but it's not really a drawback in this deck. I think most of the time you're just going to be getting Snatch Still as it's the only equipped spell in the build. But it's very, very powerful. Being an OTK deck and you want to rely on OTKing your opponent, you want to be able to use this. Also, how many normal summons are we playing? This? 6. Yeah, 6. Yeah, so that's also another part of the drawback. It's not even going to bother us. And MST, just being an OTK deck, if they did have vanities, just preemptively, you want to have outs to that. And also, like I said, not many people are playing traps. Burning Abyss has even evolved to playing only a Fire Lake or 2, a Vanity's Emptiness or 2, and maybe something else. So they usually won't even set more than 1 or 2 back rows, so you can just pop that. And then Raigeki is also another kind of staple OTK card. So yeah, definitely this is a build that I really wish I had more time for the YCS this weekend because there's so many variations that you can do. Just being a mill strategy, as Lightsworn shown us in the past, you can combine all kinds of stuff with them. But just also having the natural ability of being able to tribute at any point the banish with all their effects is pretty powerful against current meta. I haven't even seen your side deck yet, but I'm going to look over. I'm sure it's pretty stout. Yeah, Fairy Wind. Cliff Fort's probably... actually, Cliff Fort, you know, there's no way to utilize the banishing cards from their graveyard. Maybe this deck has a tough time against Cliff Fort. It's probably just a light festival or whatever you want to call it, just trying to OTK each other before the other can. But Fairy Wind definitely seems necessary. One card that you actually just convinced me is really awesome. I never realized how good Chaos Hunter is. Chaos Hunter is really nice. Dark Law is coming out on Friday, fresh for the YCS, and Chaos Hunter seems actually really insane against it. So it says whenever your opponent specials a monster, you can discard a card and special summon this card from your hand. And your opponent cannot remove cards from play. So first off, it's a level 7, so it's easily overlaying to make the powerful rank 7s. But it's 2,500 attack to Dark Law's 24, easily trumps it, and your opponent can't remove any cards. So just, you know, like, I don't even think that Dark Law will stop you from milling anymore, correct? Is that how that works?
Correct.
All right, so like Chaos Hunter just like re-enables like any kind of outs to that, and just 2,500 beater. It's like another oh yeah, and you can discard a card too to like get more stuff in the grave. This card is just like very functional.
And even hitting it off reasoning during the mirror match.
That's true too. Your opponent's never gonna call 7 because even if they know you play Blaster, not gonna call 7 because they know that you can just put it right back into play. So I actually I think Chaos Hunter, and I can tell you at Super Games we've sold some recently too. So maybe you guys should pick up that card.
For that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's probably true. I do remember that. Shadow Imp, just powerful against Shadows. Probably not that great against Burning Abyss, but definitely Shadows and probably give this deck a fit. Winda is probably a card that would make me want to have a Book of Moon in here somewhere. Maybe a Compulse even as a reactive card. I like Compulse on the player draw in the format right now. So, but yeah, Shadow is definitely going to probably be needed for those decks. Mistakes for like Cliff Forts, Satellar Knight?
Tellarknights and even Heroes to a certain extent.
Oh, yeah, Heroes. Yeah, Heroes, Clifford, Satellar Knight. Yeah, so Mistake. It's pretty much staple card. Can be played in a lot of other decks, too. Mischief Yokai is a card that actually we can benefit from milling. It's a card that I'm a huge fan of. Each face-up monster on the field loses 2 levels until the end phase, or when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to reduce 1 monster's level on the field by 1. Unfortunately, it can't be used to turn it sent to the graveyard, but it's still a pretty powerful card against, like, catch Burning Abyss, Satellar Knights, any deck that just, like, really needs to get into their extra deck. Mischief the Yokai seems pretty good against. And any effect that I can benefit from, like, milling, just like, when you play Reasoning, sometimes it's like you're drawing cards when you mill a Void Seer and fuel for your things in a Blast. It's like drawing extra cards, and part of the reason why you want to build these engines in the first place. So, I'm actually a huge fan of Mischief the Yokai. Diffusion, another out to Dark Law, really powerful against Shadows, another out to Winda. Probably even play 3. I'll probably be playing 3 of this card no matter what deck I'm playing at the YCS this weekend. And then last we got a Soul Drain, which is just powerful against every single deck I've been talking about pretty much this whole video. And Fiend Comedian, which is really good in the mirror match is what it seems. It was definitely used in the Lightsworn mirror. It's pretty much it's just like hardly any drawback. It's just a really killer card in some matchups. It says flip a coin. If you call it right, your opponent banishes your entire graveyard. If you call it wrong, then you just mill cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of cards they had in the graveyard. So against the mirror that they need their graveyard, this card is just a win-win pretty much.
I usually side it in and take out my Needlebug Nest.
Yep.
When I'm going against BA for the long run games, or either shut off, you know, because they all rely on their graveyard to a certain extent.
Yeah, I definitely have always been a huge fan of Fiend Comedian. But yeah, definitely this is a deck, like I said, there's definitely tons of different ways you can go with it, as far as there's, you know, multiple ways in Yu-Gi-Oh! To be able to mill your deck, but as far as what I want to be doing this weekend, I'll be trying to OTK my opponents, and I'll be trying to beat Burning Abyss, which this deck does both of those things pretty well, so it is definitely on the top of my list for choosings.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and actually going through my deck.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
And give you honest opinions about everything. And hope you have a good time in Charlotte. I should see you there.
Oh, yeah, Charleston should be really good. I'll definitely see all. Yeah. It's on. No, don't go to Charlotte, everybody. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, but no, I definitely hope to see everybody there. And the new set should definitely bring a lot of new decks to the table. So I'm excited.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Peace.